Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today we are discussing a 1979 Doctor Who adventure, which had to be abandoned, incomplete, because of strikes and things, what was happening back in the day then. And just in the past years or so, it has been completed via animation. But before that, there was a narrated version by Mr. Tom Baker. There's been a webcam version from Paul McGann, all like that. So we are talking Shada by Douglas Adams. We'll go, over to Beef Dad, see what he has to say about Shada.
Yeah, it's an excellent story. As you say, it's an awful shame that there were so many strikes at the time that it wasn't actually completed, so it was never broadcast. But it works brilliantly for me with Tom Baker doing basically connections, explaining what happens in betwixt and between the scenes that they still have, and it is just so good. And of course, he carries on. Basically, he's playing the Doctor while he's doing it, which is it's excellent. It's an excellent performance by him. Great performances. Of course, one of my favourites in it to be probably put. Most people would say, why are you saying that? But Wilkin, the sort of butlery person.
Oh, I know where you're going to go with this one.
Just seeing him takes me right back to when he used to play a fat kid.
Yes. Goes by the name of Billy, was it? Goes by the name of Billy?
Yeah, Billy Bunter he played. Yeah, he was brilliant. He was just so good in that. And yeah, he's very good in this. Carey playing Professor Clenotis is absolutely superb. It's all a bit heartbreaking that it never got finished, it never got done, never broadcast. Yeah, and yeah, the Krags are great. And so pretty, and the invisible spaceship, really very good. That is very clever. And Lalla Ward did the voice of Romana, and Mary Tam did some of the archive footage of it, and it was just so good, just so very, very good.
Well, I say, if you ever get the chance to get your hands on the animated version with the filmed pieces where they segue into each other, and they've brought back all the actors to redo, to record all the audio what never was recorded. They've got most of the actors back who are still with us to do that. I would recommend it, Beef Dad. You watch it. It's very, very good.
Yeah, I might try and get that.
I know sometimes the animation is a bit off, but these days, looking back on the classics, especially Hartnell and Troughton, it's the only way we're going to ever get them completed now.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to go forward with the animation now, just to complete our DVD collections. So, any favourite things about moments?
I love the moment when they found out that the room was actually a TARDIS. That was brilliant. That was just so funny and so clever. I like the globe.
Yeah.
And the bit where the Globe was chasing the Doctor Verb, and the moment that sticks in my head is on its way chasing the Doctor, it hit this old lady, knocked her over. It's a bit naughty. Scarecrow was good.
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. And as I say, anytime there was a Krog, they were just so great. They really looked so creepy.
Yeah, there was sort of a cross between, what was it now, a mandrill and a yeti.
Yeah.
The sort of design of them, they were that bulky type of creature.
Yeah, it looked ace. It really did look ace. Shame she was. But yeah, and the bit with the police constable and and Gerald Campion, when Gerald Campion gets the policeman and says, the room has disappeared. I opened the door and there was just a blue haze.
Yeah, it's been stolen. The room's been stolen.
From the policeman, which is just hysterical. It was just very, very well done. It was brilliantly written.
Well, it's Douglas Adams.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
can't expect any less from Douglas Adams.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely super.
Great. So, what would you give it then? What score would you give this then, Shada?
Well, as it's incomplete, it's got to be a 9. If it had been complete, 10.
Still a high score. High for an incomplete thing.
Oh, so, yeah, because it's just a wonderful thing to watch. I would recommend watching it to anybody.
Yeah, it's as you said earlier, it's such a shame that circumstances saw this one just binned, shall we say, just forgotten about.
Yeah.
So such a shame, but technology today has brought it all back to life.
As he says at one point, Shada.
Well, so you got anything else on this one before I move on?
No, I'm all right on this one.
That's okay. Thanks for that then, Beef Dad.
Okay.
And we will move on. So, Susan and Alex, what do you think to this unfinished, now finished Doctor Who story, Shada?
Shada was funny stuff. It was really clever. It was really interesting. It was great that it was done on location. I love the Cambridge University backdrop of the thing. I love the punting. I love the bike riding. One of my favorite memes on Tumblr for a few years was whenever you get into an argument with somebody, you put the gif of Tom Baker riding his bicycle, and you'd say, "This is Tom Baker riding a bicycle. Your argument is invalid." So I mean, it was just like, this. It's epic. It's so great, and the animation that they did was to fill in the science fiction portion of it was the outer space portion of it was really, really clever and really, really cool. And I'm glad that they're doing animation, and I'm sure that one of our cast members in this podcast is going to say something about that at some point. But I also know that this is that this was, the Fourth Doctor and Romana too at their funniest and their most engaging, and this Professor Kenotis in the story ended up part of taken pretty much wholesale out of the Shada story and put it to Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. And so there's this, Douglas Adams just lifted his own story out of Doctor Who and put it somewhere else because You could. Anyway, it was really really super amazing, um and it was deep too. I mean, like the book that became a key to something, you know, making science difficult on Earth was really interesting and really had a lot of depth to it. And the two new characters, the actors that played them had a lot of chemistry. In fact, so much chemistry they ended up getting married and living together forever. You know, they're perfectly happy to this day, thanks to Shada. So hooray for that! And it was really fun. And the bits of Shada that were used in the Fifth Doctor episode, the Five Doctors, you know, what a tantalizing little taste of this little number. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I loved when I heard the Eighth Doctor redoing it. Also, that was really cool and fun and interesting, and a lot more sort of in your face and violent and stuff. But this one was really really amazing. So anyway, um, yeah, I really like it, and I'm really glad that we did it. And I'll tell you some of my favorite bits later.
Well, of course, as usual, Doctor Who just can't be Doctor Who without having one or more episodes burned, canceled, stalled, whatever.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
But this is good. I mean, I don't like it as much as the other Fourth Doctor stories, with the exception of City of Death, which that one was filmed in Paris, so you finally had a little bit of room. You didn't feel like it was in a factory or a quarry or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Shouta has some interesting points, and it's a different pace, and it's a good idea. Of course, other places have done it, and unfortunately, this one had to be sort of canceled, unaired, and it became popular because it wasn't complete. It's an interesting idea. It has new characters, and like I said, it's like City of Death. It's not just in a room, or feels like it's just in a room and a half, like other stories toward the end. But is it a great story? Probably not. But like I said, it's a very good effort. It's a good idea. It's nice to see, you know, Doctor Who stretch its legs once in a while and not be caught in the factory.
So beautiful.
But yeah, I like City of Death much better. So, I like the cast better. I like the pace better. Um, but this is still a good story, but it is partially popular because it was canceled or it wasn't aired.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like what, maybe two doctors that they were never canceled or put on a hiatus or whatever.
Right.
Everybody else, well, three. Everybody else was kind of put on hiatus or canceled. Or the first and second Doctor in the '60s, they had a lot of their episodes destroyed.
Yeah.
So the BBC, again, just have your product and have people enjoy it and stop canceling it or burning it or whatever.
That's right. Agreed.
Really. Over to B.
Insofar as the lexicon of Doctor Who goes, this is a very important historical document, because up until they've done this, basically it was the only missing Tom Baker story. Not through the case of that it wasn't burned or anything like that. It's just a case of it couldn't be made. It's where outside influences, has affected the production of the show, which was major political upheaval in the UK, the 3-day week, strikes, unionists, and everything like that. That just stopped this being made, where it ended up not being viable to carry on because things just happened. They've tried to do this so many times throughout the year, via narration or people who are mad fans of Doctor Who paying to get it done and everything like that, to get reconstructions done. People who we won't necessarily name here because there are a contiguous aspect of how this person is viewed overall. But it's good that they have just gone back and done this. It's like you say, it is very, very much a Douglas Adams story. The way the language is done, the setting, it's got that sort of very much that university brow comedy story aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've seen, the punting scene that got reused in the Five Doctors, but to have this done, and there were a lot of people who were sort of like, when it came out, I was very fortunate when this was announced and when it was done and completed. This was really like a test type thing for what is going to become the future, was where you had a part existing episode and then you're filling in the gaps through animation. And I was very fortunate that when this was announced, they did a screening of this at the BFI, and I was one of the first people to see it. And it was,
Oh, you
finally,
finally
to see this thing in its full entirety with what was missing and everything like that. And I think it's a good story. I enjoy it. You've got this idea of that there is this sort of other thing, that there is a Time Lord prison and everything like that. Yeah, they touch upon that. Whether you love it or hate Stephen Moffat, you've got like the Asylum of the Daleks. So you've got like a prison aspect to the Dalek race. There has to be something that is to do with Time Lords. There has to be that sort of alternate and other. And you had a great in Chris Parsons, you had a companion that never was, to be honest with you. He plays a great part in it. The humour is superb. Don't get me wrong, it's Doctor Who and we all love the kitsch. Skagra is a sort of like a crazy villain with outlandish dress sense. That's all I can say. Damn, that white suit and hat, do you know what I mean? But then again, if you look online, there are pictures of what's her name? What's her name? The Canadian singer who did the Titanic song. What's her name? There's pictures of her online wearing a very similar cape and big hat outfit. But it's a great, enjoyable story, and I like they've still kept it, instead of putting it all together as one, that you still can have it as an episodic cliffhanger feel to it, and you don't lose anything from the sense of it. Like I've said, it's pure Douglas Adams. And I feel bad for the characters who were actually the actors who were cast in it at the time, because had this have actually been a full episode that had gone to broadcast, I think possibly their career fates would have been very different. Victoria Burgoyne is really, really good in this. Hill is really good as this as Chris Parsons. He went on to be is it Waiting for God or something like that? He was in that Stephanie Cole thing, playing the head of the retirement home. But he was really solid in this, and I think could have been a companion going forward from this. But you've got to complete the Tom set. This was the one keystone that was missing from his tenure as the Doctor. Like you were saying, it's a location shot at Cambridge. To be honest with you, I love Professor Chronotis as the bumbling professor. To be honest with you, I love the fact that his office is a TARDIS. You get this idea. So you before you had others with their I love it when you get more than one TARDIS. To be honest with you. So it gives you like an extra feel that it is just not the Doctor who's the only Time Lord rolling around the place that is hidden in plain sight. Professor Chronotis is there. I love the guy who looks after all the professors at the university, and he's just like this poor guy saying, "I recognise you sitting here before," and everything like that. There's brilliant humorous touches that run all the way through this that just screams pure Douglas Adams. The use of language is tremendous. And I feel it's a good solid story, and I take my hat off to the BBC restoration team, because this was really their first outing. If it wasn't, this is a benchmark type thing. Whether you like or dislike the story, it is a benchmark thing to see that would animating lost material be a viable aspect for Doctor Who. And this is. Because the sales for this missing story that has been tried to be done several times over the year, I think was the biggest selling Doctor Who DVD of that year and the year afterwards. So it did actually outsell, I believe, season 11 at that time. And that's no judgment, but I'm just saying that it just shows that there is a marketability factor for having animation to give us what we have lost. So it's for me, it's a fun story. Is it my favorite Tom story? No, it's not. But it's still a really solid story, and it's really fun. You have updated effects where he's climbing, where he's outside of the TARDIS. I like it. It's good because I love Douglas. You can't help but not love Douglas Adams. Not just for his Doctor Who work, but the other body of work that he's done. So yeah, it's massive props and nothing but love for Shada from me.
Cool. And as the saying goes, 2 lumps, no sugar.
Which they did bring back in Capaldi's.
Yes.
Yep.
They did bring that back in the pilot.
Yeah. As Beef said, it's been done a few times. As Susan said, it's been done as a web series with Paul McGann. It's been done link narration by Tom, but this one I think is the definitive now, with the animation, and also good on them getting the actors back to record all the audio, because they didn't record it. It was only the outside broadcast was recorded. None of all the other stuff was recorded, so they had to all go back, get the scripts, go back and redo all the audio, all the talking like they do at Big Finish. But they got all the original actors back who they could get back. So Daniel Hill came back, Victoria came back, Christopher Nemi came back, did all the audio for the animation.
They even recorded extra stuff with is it called the Krogs as well? They even recorded extra stuff with that.
Yeah, I forgot his name now. He's a Dalek operator. He was dressed with
Barnaby.
Barnaby Edwards.
Barnaby Edwards came back.
And also they had to revoice K9 in the animation, of course.
Briars?
David Burley's no longer with us, is he? Is he?
Burley. Yeah, David Burley.
Yeah, I don't think he's no longer with us, actually. I might be wrong. But there you go. As it said, it's Douglas. You can tell it's Douglas Adams' story. You can always tell when it's one of his. I'm not a fan of 6-parters. I've always said this because they seem to be too long. For me, 4 parts is ideal for a story. And as Beef said, you can see where the cliffhangers are, but I just don't understand why they didn't do parts 1, parts 2. I don't know why it's like a movie length. Does anybody know why?
Why they did it as movie length, I don't know. When I watched it, yeah, you got like an episode feel to it, and you could feel where it was, but I don't know. It's a long watch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you could actually see where the cliffhanger is.
Yeah, you can see the breaks. That's for sure.
Yeah. You're thinking, well, why didn't they just put the music and the credits in? I don't know, but and the animation, yeah. I think the animation's been good all the way through all these DVDs, what they have done from the beginning up to now. And I think this is, for me, it is one of the best, as he said. And the only way forward is to go forward with the animation now. So, shall we say favourite moments on this one? We'll go reverse. Beef.
I love the updated model shots, to be honest with you. When I was at the screening for this, Mike Tucker was there, who for very many years did a lot of the special effects for Doctor Who, and he brought with him the original TARDIS model that they used for this. And they went back, and some of the exterior model shots that you've seen, they completely refilmed. Yeah, so that where you see the TARDIS spinning in space, the way they do this, so you don't necessarily see the string, is that they film it upside down. So the TARDIS you'll see is actually suspended from the bottom and spun, and it's filmed that way. I love that. I love that there are little touches in, when like in Disney movies when they do animation. There's little touches in the background, and there's stuff like that. To be honest with you, in the lab that you see, I like the aged brain trust when they're found on the space station. So yeah, there are all the aspects of it that I love. There's a lot of fun and comedy to be had with this. To be honest with you, Tom Baker is running on, I think at that point, on his like really good funny vibe on this, and this is such a funny episode. So yeah, that for me are the high points, the updated model shots that go with this new version, and like I say, the humor in it, the humor will never ever go out of style.
I read somewhere that the new shots with the Doctor like crawling from TARDIS to the ship, they had a standing actor for doing it. Was it David Bentonick, I think?
Tim Bentwick.
Tim Bentwick, that was it. He was standing in and all like that. And so all those new model shots, all those with the cracks, with Kanan firing at them, that's all new.
Yeah.
So yeah, really well done. So over to Susan and Alex.
All right, my favorite moments are in the Professor Chronotis' office. I love that feel of the academicals in Mariold. I just think it's beautiful. I think it's really. I think that seeing the university was absolutely lovely, and I like the car chase and the bike chase and excuse me, pardon me. I just really enjoyed the bits at Cambridge. Cambridge has some of those of my favorite kind of roofs even. So I mean, it is beautiful. It is enjoyable, and the chemistry between the characters was also translating into reality. I mean, the chemistry between Romana 2 and the Doctor became, Tom and Lala's marriage, and the chemistry between Chris Parsons and Claire was translated into their, marriage and life together. So, those parts of it were really beautiful, and so I just got to say that, and the model shots and the new outer space special effects and in the vortex special effects were really cool too. I'll agree with Beef there. So here's Alex and.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's great that it is a little bit of a slower pace. There's actually more dialogue. There's actually more characters. You have this taking place at a school. As far as the villain with his glam rock, the Celine Dion costume, is pretty good. The story on the whole, yeah. I mean, I like Douglas Adams. I like his wit, but that doesn't mean I liked every story. I don't know why they had to put this on hiatus or cancel this story, and then they got rid of Douglas Adams. But luckily, he did good. He had his Hitchhiker's Guide and other things to work on. But I don't know. Doctor Who, the people that make Doctor Who sometimes, or the BBC can't seem to make up its mind.
It was down to strike action.
Yeah, and they should have let this one just be. Like I said, I saw the old recreations or Tom Baker doing the narration or whatever, and I'm pretty sure that probably Tom would have left if he hadn't done this story as well. So, I don't necessarily like it, but again, Tom Baker usually had decent stories. Some were bad, but I'd say about 85% of them were pretty decent. It's just too bad they couldn't have had a really good budget, because I think he would have. I mean, he still ended up being almost the biggest Doctor anyway, except for Tennant. But yeah, I mean, that was always an issue with Doctor who they had as producer, who they had as special effects, who they had as the Doctor. But then if you want a big story that is not set in a quarry or a factory, you can always go for City of Death, and that had some great cast members and also had some great special effects also. So
it was written by Douglas Adams too.
Yeah, it was actually. So you could always watch that. If you don't want to watch Shada, you can always watch City of Death, and it's just as much fun, if not a little quicker. And you also have the Pirate Planet, but that is more, studio bound. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad story. It's not one of my favorites, but it makes for a change of pace, and it makes for a different villain and stuff like that.
Oh, the villain! Skagra was. There's. I can't tell you how many times I look at him and I go, "Is that Julian Glover?" I mean, really, he was amazing. And what's his name?
Christopher Nimi.
Yeah, Christopher Nimi was. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to find some more of his stuff because
loads and loads of stuff.
Yeah, because of I really like that. I really like his his countenance and stuff. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Just going back to something you said earlier, Susan. Was you under the assumption that Daniel Hill was married to Victoria Burgoyne?
Yeah.
No. Not that I know of. I think he's married to someone called Olivia. But Hill.
Oh.
But yeah, for me, the villain is a brilliant villain, written really well, and to be at the end of it, spoilers, imprisoned in your own ship, listening to the ship telling you how good the Doctor is. That's that is a sentence you couldn't live with, could you? Stuck in a room, just listening to how good the Doctor's been. It's brilliant. So any things you liked about it more, favourite moments or open mind?
All the things that you see in the prison that are locked up.
Yeah.
There are a few cameos that you may find. And I don't know whether I should say it or not, because the thing is, I want people to watch it. Because there's a fantastic ending to this version. Where, look, I've got to say it. Look, if you want to see basically that console room with the man now closing out his missing episode, and the pure joy upon his face, and the real Cheshire cat grin of the governor, Mr. Baker himself. You got to watch this version. You know, my friends, everyone out in the YouTube internet land, you really need to watch this because and also, like I say, this was a very long, involved labour of love for all the parties. That, like Lee said, they got as many of the original cast members who were still around to do it to come back and recreate this thing that they know has not lost, but that it was circumstances beyond their control, political, social situations that you could not control that prevented this from being made, to the point where they just had to say, look, we're going to have to abandon it. Excuse me. And it wasn't the BBC's fault. The social situations were that they just could not get this finished. So that they've gone back and actually picked this thing that had been put to one side and just left there, and to get it all done is a real testament.
It's a big labour of love, this one.
It is, and also the people who do this restoration stuff. So you've got Paul Vanese, you had Charles Norton, who was in charge of it. You had Rob Ritchie, who did a load of the animation for this. This isn't their main job. This is their side gig. And they only do this because they have love for the source material. They have love for the show. So, even if you don't own this and you own one of the previous copies, I urge you to go out and buy this. Just for the fact is that if you are buying this, if you are supporting this, you are going to get more of this stuff made. You are going to get more of the missing episodes that you don't have made. So it's really important, I think, to support the artistry that involved in bringing this back from where it was, so that you can get more in the future. It's sort of like, where it's you're paying your penny in the bank, and this interest will pay back to you in the long run. That's all I can urge.
Brilliant. Anything else, Susan?
I just want to hear about what the future plans are for animation.
If we rate it, I will regale you with what will be that. Yeah.
Oh, I've just remembered a bit what I did like, and it was like a nod to the past. In it, when the Doctor looked into his workshop, all the things on the shelves.
Yeah.
All the Magellan guns and Saber heads and all stuff from and the I can't remember from Current Planet, the polymorph thing, the flying parrot. That was all there. Yeah, brilliant. Let's score it then. Susan and Alex.
All right. Well, I love this. I love Douglas Adams. When I was suffering from real acute depression, reading Douglas Adams was actually therapy for me. And he was, he is my go-to for recovery. And so I love his stuff, and I love Shada. I love the Fourth Doctor. I love Romana too. I think that, she would make a really good president of the United States too. Romana for president. Anyway, that's just so I think that there's a lot to be gained by watching this in the animated form, because it so completes the vision, and it was a wonderful experience to revisit this also. So those are my opinions, and so I'll give this one also, even like the one that we just reviewed, I'll give it a 9.5. Nothing real. No, I'll give it a 10. I'll give it as Beef Dad would say, and maybe he is gonna say a solid gold, 10 out of 10. Anyway, so here's Alex.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a cute story. There's other ones that I like better. It's an interesting idea. It's nice that they did sort of allow Douglas Adams to have a little bit of leeway, not much. And it is interesting that he had a lot of stories that had a big concept and big ideas, and there were two that were not studio bound, and that was this one and The City of Death. And I'm sure it's refreshing for the actors as well to have a lot of material. I do like him, but I'm more on the Hitchhiker's Guide sort of thing. But like I said, they changed it. Unfortunately, I don't know if it got too jokey. I don't know if it wasn't science fictiony enough for the BBC. Somebody didn't like it, and that's why they changed everybody. And of course, yeah, it would have been boring if Doctor Who had stayed in the beginning of the, let's do the same villains every week and the same, heavy science fiction type of thing. And that's one of the benefits of Doctor Who in a way, is they can change the actor, they can change the companion, they can change the overall theme of the seasons and of the story. And then unfortunately you have another producer that came in that I didn't like all of his material and what he decided to do, but they had to
John Nathan Turner's
they had to change it, and now Doctor Who's still around, but now we're at the 13th, and it's a woman now, not a guy, and we'll see how long that producer or showrunner stays in. But like I said, almost everybody knows Tom Baker. Almost anybody that knows the show knows Tom Baker. Anybody that knows the new version, the new revival, knows David Tennant. And they had some bad stories, but overall they had very good stories, and they had a very good cast and a very good production, and that's one of the reasons why they're liked so much.
So what was your score?
This one, I'd give it a 7. I like City of Death much better. I'd rather watch that for hours and hours.
Do you know what?
Private Planet was good too.
Do you know what? We should have reviewed this the other week when we did Phantasm, because there'd been a connection with the spheres. Anyway, so that's just popped into my head.
There's a lot of spheres going around.
Yes. I'll score it, and then we'll go to Beef. Tom is my favourite Doctor, and always will be. Have you guessed? It's getting a 10 for me. I just love the hard work what's been put into this, time and effort. As I said earlier, it's a labour of love, and as Beef pointed out, this is the guys who do this. This is not their main job. This is their sideline hobby sort of thing, to call it. So yeah, 10 for me, because you've got to admire the work what's gone into this. So over to you, Beef. You're muted.
Very much along the same lines as you, Lee. It would be just ingenuous of me to give this anything less than a 10. That it's the one Tom Baker story that we've never had in completion. So you have now completed off the entirety of his era. From a self-serving, selfish point of view, now that they're bringing out all these Blu-ray box sets, now that there is nothing stopping you having a complete set of Tom Baker on high definition Blu-ray, that they have, the power of doing something like this is enough to draw back all your principal actors who are still around today to come back, recreate record the vocals for it, everything like that. The work of these guys, like I say, who is their side job and everything like that to do this. And, the work involved in doing it, because there is a huge amount of time and work that goes into this. I mean, speaking to Rob Ritchie, who did the animation for this, did the animation for the Macra Terror. To give you an idea, in the Macra Terror, in animation, there are 25 frames per second, not the standard 24. To render one frame of animation on a computer takes 7 minutes. So to do 25 frames is 151 minutes. That's to give you 1 second of footage. So imagine how much it takes to just do the time of the animated sections that you have in this. And they've gone off, and the guys in the restoration team, they've reshot all the models. They've taken what recordings there were to take that, to put that together. It's amazing. Yeah. The sheer magnitude of work to be involved. And like I say, the last part, to get Mr. Baker back into the suit, back behind the console. Yeah, you think that him showing up at the end of the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor is something else. No, to be honest with you, yeah, that's great in its own. But to have him back behind the console of the TARDIS in the suit at the end of this is a thing of pure unbridled joy. So I think for me to give this anything less than a 10 would be completely unfair. Yeah, whether you like this story more, whether you like this story less than another, the sheer effort and work that has gone into making this thing happen, you've got to pay it back in. You've got to pay money in to get money out. And I'll tell you what, yeah, this is well worth the price of, yeah, how much is a DVD? Nothing. Buy it. Yeah, get it. Support it. If you want to have more of this stuff, then you have to put the investment in to get that repayment back. And you won't be disappointed. You won't be. Far from it. It's a thing of wonder. It's a thing of magnificence. It really is what it is. It's Shada!
Well, there you go. Susan, you was going to say something there?
Yeah. So tell us what the vision for the future is.
Well, yeah, as some of you may or may not be aware, I was very lucky to last weekend go to the London MCM Comic Con XL last weekend, where one of the panels was Doctor Who, the animations, and yeah, they basically announced there what is going to be the next one, because we've had obviously Shada, we've had the Macra Terror, and now it's going to be the faceless ones, which is going to be arriving, I would hope, early next year. I think the deadline for this is sort of the tail end of this year. They're very close to having finished it. So it's a case of what is next with regards to Doctor Who animation. And it does seem to be that they want to get Troughton, or certainly certain series of Troughtons, completed in full. We've had previous sort of iterations of animation with the moon base and everything like that. So what's happening now is that you're going to have, in essence, 2 studios running it, because Shada, the sales of this have proven to be so popular, and like it really has taken them by surprise. It said, well, hang on a second, there's something to be done here. Not just are we going to have the sales of these DVDs, but it gives us a chance to complete out these missing episodes. We now have the benefit of the strong tapes, which are the TV audio recordings from these, and the recently found Randolph tapes. So we have basically off-air recordings of all of these missing episodes that have been gone for so long. Yeah, in some cases the strong tapes are better. In some cases, the Randolph tapes are actually of superior quality and missing a lot of the continuity stuff that would be missing. So it's really involved nerdy audio stuff. Yeah. But what it boils down to now is that you have had Shada and the Macra Terror and the Faceless Ones, which has been done by one studio. BBC has worldwide have said that we want more output of animated stuff. So basically there are now going to be 2 studios. The second studio is going to be headed up by Gary Russell,
Oh,
who a lot of you guys may be aware of in the Doctor Who community. He's done a lot of writing and everything like that as well. Out of a studio in Australia. Now, a lot of the donkey work, a lot of the sort of computer animation and everything like that is going to be done by animation studios in India. So they're going to be doing a lot of the tedious hard work. So a lot of it is going to be outsourced to that. You may find that you will have perhaps two differing styles of animation, but you are going to have more output because the BBC have said, we're going to put the money in for you to make more stuff. So if anything, you are going to have more releases. So we've had Shada, we've had Macro, which was last year in March. Was it? No, sorry, this year in March.
yeah.
And you're going to have Faceless ones. I would expect to be around the same time next year, March. So instead of having one a year, I reckon you're more likely going to have, at the very minimum, 2 a year. So you have one at the start of the year, one at the end of the year. So at the very most, your output of animated stories is going to be doubled. Cool. Purely because there has been this fan reception to getting these animated stories. Now, what you're going to get, I think at the moment, is it's going to be hard because a lot of it boils down to how hard it is to animate. So things like, the Highlanders, where there's a lot of tartan and a lot of moving patterns on screen and a lot of different characters and complicated costumes, it's hard to do. But certainly as the technology progresses as well, it gets easier. The more model frames and everything like that they have on their massively important computers, the more the stuff that gets, the easier, the better it's going to get. But there is not going to be any shortage of animation going forward. That much I can say. That there will be at least, I think, 2 releases a year, maybe 3 if we're lucky. So, like I say, watch this space.
Do you know where Hartnell's stuff might be slotted in, or is that
what the future slated recordings are and releases are? No,
okay.
But don't get me wrong. There were lots of rumors going around behind what this announcement this last weekend was going to be.
Yeah.
I was hoping, and a lot of us were hoping for a Hartnell. It's another Troughton, but it's the first appearance of the Sonic Screwdriver.
Mm-hmm. I think you place your bets because we had a 10-minute segment of the Wheel in Space. I would say that is. I think that may be. That was.
To be honest with you, that was paid for by the BFI. That was paid for by the British Film Institute to do. And if anything, that was also a little bit of a road test for this new company that is being done outside of Gary Russell's firm is doing that.
Mm.
And that looked really good. That's on the if none of you guys have got it, and I think you guys have done a review of it already, which is the Macro Terror. It's on there, and it is really good. The 10 minutes on there, you want to watch the rest of the story. It looks great on screen, and a certain amount of the money of this is coming from BBC America because they want this. They want to have a completionist aspect. It would be great as well to have a streaming service and have everything from point A to point Z. And there's no gaps in the middle. And unfortunately, with Doctor Who, there are a lot of big gaps in the middle of it. But also the burden of these Blu-ray collection box sets. We've got everything from,
and the reason that they don't...
Pertwee onwards, we want to be able to do some really classic Doctors.
But the reason that they don't put the streaming stuff on with recons is because the recons were given away for free as a fan-based product, and so they were never able to make any money off that. So that's the problem.
You've got the loose cannon reconstructions and everything like that. But the thing is, everyone wants to get like we've just talked about with Shada. We have the off-air recordings from Graham Strong. We've got the Randolph tapes, which have literally been within the last 12 months, and they are. There is some real, like I say, if you want to be really nerdy about audio and off-air recordings, the Graham Strong tapes, he's been fantastic. He died last year, I believe it was. And the legacy, what he's left behind, we would not have half the stuff that we have now without him. These are guys who basically hardwired reel-to-reel tape recorders into their televisions, recorded the audio of this. So these episodes that are now missing, we have pretty much spot-on off-air stuff. Mark Ayres takes this stuff, re-engineers it, pulls it apart, and I've seen the diagrams of what he does. It's like I've got, it's science beyond my ken. And then, people like Rob, who do all the computer animation and everything like that, they do this wonderful stuff. And they the surviving actors, like they did with the Macro Terror, they contact them, they speak to them about their costumes that they had at the time to make the animations that you get on screen as accurate as to what you would have on broadcast, even down to eye color. They go to reference photos of what these actors look like at the time of recording and make it as facially similar where they can to that, to be honest with you. So, the future of animation is wow. And what
It's unbelievable, though, that it took the success of Shada to make the man, to carry on when there were big animation.
I really do think that the sales of Shada, which was, I think, it was like a sleeper thing. I think it was one of those ones. I think that they would have just fit it. That they probably expected to sell moderately well and fit into the DVD range. Okay, to just fill out a gap in the shelf. But literally, I think the sales of Shada outsold at the time the current
series 10.
It was the current broadcast.
It was 2017, so it was series 10. The pre-sale would have been over and above series 10.
Yeah, but I even think if you look at the sales figures for it against season 11, when season 11 was released, and if you take the first couple of weeks and everything like that, Shada still outsold that if you put it in a year frame, to be honest with you. So it's a very big thing, to be honest with you, and it really is the way for the future if you want to have your completionist aspect. And that's why I say, and I urge anyone who's watching this and anyone has ever thought, but do I really want to watch a Doctor Who animated version?
Do it. Yes.
You get what you pay in, you get out. And and not being funny, you get more out than you put in.
And what, 80% of the time, it's the only way you're going to see a complete.
Well, you
may down the line find an episode or two, but
like you said, Lee, Fury from the Deep. No, what was it? Web of Fear.
Web of Fear and The Underwater Menace.
Underwater Menace. Yeah. That had certainly a mixed reception at best when those releases have been brought out.
The worst DVD release.
Yeah.
Wasn't Power of the Daleks also a really huge seller?
Yes. Sorry, I've been really remiss. Yeah. Power of the Daleks.
Power of the Daleks was a huge seller as well.
And I've missed that. That's what came sort of. Yeah.
And that was in a. They even released that in like a metal book or what are they?
Oh, that's it. I see. Look at this. This is what happened. Sorry, I've been a bit unwell this week. So, but yeah, Power of the Daleks, and it's sort of like all this stuff is just coming because these guys are just doing God's work, or however you want to doing the best work and the most amazing fan service, and these guys should be rewarded and get all the plaudits that they deserve, really, for it. So
we do appreciate everything that's been done for for the range. Really do.
Thank you.
And not being funny, it's sort of like the stuff that they're doing on this, it translates into doing the updated special effects on the Blu-ray sets. And they're all wonderful people. They all work amazingly hard, and they deserve all the respect and all the plaudits that they get, and they deserve your money. Buy stuff. Buy it once, buy it often, buy it for your friends, buy it for your family, buy it for people you don't like, and then just give it to someone you do like. Yeah.
Just buy it. It. That's the way to do it. You want more of that?
So
buy it. That's it. Simple. So, yeah, thanks for that, Beef.
Yeah, thanks, Beef.
Don't worry, you're a roving reporter out on the streets.
Have we anything else to say before we close this one?
Nah.
No, I think we've written this one out. So, you guys out there, leave a comment. Let us know if you've seen Shada. Let us know what you think of the animation.
Like, share, subscribe. Click the little bell in the corner for the notifications. And if you'd like to appear with people like me, Lise, Susan, and Alex, then get in contact via the Twitter, Facebook, and other social media outlets that are available.
Do you know what? I think we'll have to have him to record that and put it at the front of the video. But yes, what he said down there, or is he across there? I don't know where he is. He's down there.
Well, it's down there at the bottom.
Yeah, it's down there at the bottom.
The subscribe button's up at the top, and don't forget to click the little bell button so you get notifications when a new video has been released and uploaded.
And we do this once a week, more than once a week.
If we're all here. Sometimes
if you like audios, there are audio options with audio heads. If you like classic Doctor Who or new Doctor Who, hey, we're an all-inclusive society of a very diverse and mixed bag of people. If you like films of the classic variety, if you like films of a new variety, if you like animated stuff, even if you like music and soundtracks, Ethan and Lee talk about music. They did a recent one of the music of Prince. So like I say, there's something for everyone to be had at Geeks Assembled.
This wonderful infomercial has been brought to you by Beefhead.
And until next time,
be good.
Farewell.